Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery.
Aberdeen in recovery. We're here for you. Building that bridge from dependence to independence.
Hello everyone and good afternoon, and I'd like to welcome you along to another episode of Recovery on AiR here on shmu 99.8 FM. I'm Dermot and I'm sitting in the captain's chair today. Forgive me, please. We send out our best wishes to our loved one, Lindsay. Hope we'll see you soon, and sending you our love and hugs. I'm joined today by, it's a little bit of a mouthful this, Joan, Stevie, John and Stephen.
Oh, right.
So we've got
Okay.
a John and a Stevie and a Stephen.
Too similar
Yeah,
to
too
get it
similar.
out.
Beginning of a limerick.
Yeah. So we'll start with the ladies first.
Oh,
Joan,
thank you.
Joan, how are
thank
you
you.
today?
I'm good today. Yeah, I'm good. Although I am missing my normal walk in here, and just to remind people that this is a Tuesday that we're recording this, and Lindsay normally says that at the very beginning. So the weather forecast today is it's going to be rain, it's going to be wet, and we're going to get floods. So I didn't actually walk in just in anticipation that I was going to get wet. So I think I'll have to try and get a walk in somehow, somewhere during the day or later in the evening. But apart from that, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Stephen, how's you?
Don't know, Dermot. I feel like I've been dragging my feet today. You know what I mean? And since I got up, I just feel like I'm dragging my feet. But yeah, like in general, I'm good. You know what I mean? It's Tuesday. The weather is a bit dull. Sometimes that lowers my mood. You know what I mean? But in general, I'm good. You know what I mean?
I think the slight mugginess that we've had over the last few days, I don't know, that's helped it. So disturb sleep routines and sleep patterns.
Yeah.
John, how's you?
Not bad. I think definitely a bit sleep deprived. Yeah, the humidity, I've had enough of that.
Yeah.
I think it's affecting us all, John. And Stevie, last but no means least, how are you, friend?
Not bad. Alright. But just the three other guys, girls, just the sleep, the heat during the night. All the windows in my house are open, and still hot. I've actually found myself sleeping doing for my feet should be. I get the cold air coming in. So I've been doing a lot of nights to get into the room. Good. I'm good.
Good. And myself, things are good enough. A little bit out of sorts, maybe my rhythm, but I guess maybe it's just because I'm Aberdonian and we like to hear a gripe and a moan. So name it, we get fed up with the sunny weather, we get fed up with the heat, we get fed up with the rain. We're just off a hard to please, I'll say. But
I didn't come from Aberdeen. Maybe that's why I'm bright and breezy. I don't know.
You're listening to Recovery on AiR at shmu 99.8 FM. Recovery, a journey of discovery.
So welcome back, everyone. So we were struggling a little bit today to find a topic. What we were going to discuss, we agreed collectively that we didn't have enough information of actually what was timetabled in that, and that's local awareness being given to stigma. But we will cover that in a later episode. So what we did come to agreement with was we discussed today about wellness. It's a topic that we see being used repeatedly nowadays, and in lots of different forms. But we thought it'd be interesting if we took wellness as our theme and maybe had a discussion about what wellness means to us in our own lives, in our recovery processes, and possibly how wellness has our thoughts in regards wellness, how they may have changed over the last period of time. So I thought we'll just throw it open and see who's keen to volunteer. So who's wanting the first
Bite at the cherry.
Ding.
It sounds like me. Well, I, as you said, we were sort of thinking, what can we talk about today? But it was when I was in a session today, and it was relating to the peer-to-peer course that we're going to be doing later. And the peer-to-peer course does kind of relate to lots of different aspects of recovery. And one of the things that were spoken about amongst the group that the session was today was, what does wellness mean to you? Rather than what does recovery mean to you, it's generally what is wellness. And the immediate sort of things that came to mind for me was sort of health, and about eating well, about being physically active, about physically being well. But actually lots of the things that came up weren't really to do with all those kind of external things. It was more about wellness, how you feel in yourself. And there were so many insightful things coming up about wellness. I suppose for me, it's just feeling contented in yourself, good with yourself. It's a nebulous thing really, because it's difficult to actually put your finger on the one thing, but it's being at one with me. That's kind of what wellness is for me. I suppose if I was to explore it further and further and further, I would come up with lots and lots of different ideas. But it isn't about that physical necessarily well-being, it's about your mental well-being, how you feel in yourself. So there's lots of different aspects of wellness, and I'm sure others can touch on some of what those aspects are, but that's just the one thing that comes to my mind at the moment.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Content in the present moment.
Just being at one with yourself, that's for me, for my wellness. If I feel okay in myself, if I feel contented, that for me is, and I know when I'm not feeling that way, when I'm out of sorts, I know I'm not that well. I start to know when I'm not feeling that way. So yeah.
It could be easier to identify when you're not feeling wellness.
Much easier to identify when I'm not feeling well. I'm sure others maybe can as well.
Certainly identify with that. Probably understanding of not well before I got a full, or what I appreciate today is being well. It's certainly a term that is used regularly and within my recovery community, the guys I associate with, guys and girls. When I speak with guys, I'm speaking with male and female, and we'll often meet each other, and the greeting is, "Are you well?" Rather than fit like, it's a regular term that's used. Are you well?
Yeah.
Because I think it offers an opportunity. Well, I think as Jones touched on, well is a all-encompassing thing for me. If I am well, I'm feeling safe and secure, physically, mentally, emotionally, and for me, spiritually. The spirituality I live and tie to action. It's not tied with religion. It's just spirit. It's got a lot to do with love. It's got a lot to do with love given and received. And just to prove that this is a live program, that was the phone.
So it interrupts that feeling of wellness.
Yes, I'm not feeling quite as well mentally as I was 2 seconds ago when I was rudely interrupted by the phone. But no, wellness, I think, Stephen, you used that term earlier about holistic.
Yeah. it's like well-being, wellness for me, because we've all got a different views on that. And like what you were talking about in Dermot, for me, it's like the mind, body and spirit. But like my view, like on spirit, kind of like, because I'm no religious,
No.
again, but spiritual for me, right, is taking responsibility, right?
Yeah.
But that's also taking responsibility for how I feel, how I think. You know what I mean? Well-being, and I've been doing mindfulness recently.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Again, because when my mind is full, again, I need to clear that. So, like for me personally, I like to practice meditation and other type holistic therapies.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but it's like you're talking about. When I don't do it, I feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like today. I got up, right? I feel like I'm dragging my feet. Now I can't concentrate when I'm like that. Okay, because like it's my spirit. Okay, it's a bit dampened, like the weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clammy. But like for me, it's like taking that time out, kind of just sitting, like focusing on my breathing. You know what I mean? And it does work wonders. You know what I mean? Like this is good for people in recovery. Because if you told me this stuff a while back, I would laugh at this stuff. But I do this stuff, and when I work it works. You know what I mean? But as I say, well-being, again, it's like even going to the gym, the physical part of it, again, like I go to the gym, it's part of my routine. A lot of times I don't want to go, but when I do it, I've completed it. You know what I mean? And I feel better. You know what I mean? Even well-being for me, as I say, we've all got different views on that. I actually feel, see cooking, I find that very therapeutic. You know what I mean? Again, and like for me, it's like finding what works for me. You know what I mean? As I said earlier on, and what Dermot was talking about, again, I'm always trying to find things that will lift my spirit. We've been in recovery, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm drying up here. So,
No, there's loads there.
you know what I mean? Like, I tend to start going off on a tangent, you know what I mean? I like that a lot, man.
I'm guessing a lot of the things you described, wouldn't have been your first behaviour or reaction to
Oh, no.
a good feeling.
No, like
in
a good feeling for me was a bag of drugs. You know what I mean? Again, like it's like in recovery. Again, like I need to maintain my spiritual state, right? Because it's either I'm optimistic or very pessimistic. You know what I mean?
Black
It's
and
like
white.
everything, again, like moaning about everything. You know what I mean? And it just doesn't serve me well. You know what I mean? Again, so it's like, again, like if I wake up in the morning, I wake up every morning, right? And I'm like, right, I'm no doing the day, I'm staying in bed. You know what I mean? But I just know that's the pessimistic view, again, that voice in my head, because like we're talking about mentally, physically and spiritually, right? Again, mentally, my head's trying to tell me not to get up, not to go to this, not to do that, just lay about all behaviours and habits, all thinking, you know what I mean? But I push through that.
So it's changing that old entrenched thinking, isn't it?
Well, it's as simple as this, again. It's like I go against my first thought a lot. I'm always chasing things to change the way I feel, but in a good way now.
Yes.
Again, and for me, a big thing is doing things I don't want to do. For example, cooking. You know what I mean? Back in the day, I could only cook a pot noodle. Well, you can't even cook that. Back in the day, Ken, it'd be like, Ken, honestly, I swear, Ken, it was like, I would be able to make a pot noodle up. You know what I mean? Ken, and like recovery, Ken, I was dependent on the drugs, stopped the drugs, dependent on people, places, Ken, and things and that. And it took me a while to realise this, but even like, Ken, like, and I'm using this as an example, cooking, Ken, it's like, I get a sense of achievement. See, like, with doing things that I've never done before, Ken, completing tasks, you know what I mean? feel like I'm going off on one here, so I'll let one of you pick up.
Well, I think what you said is very, very relevant, and being fulfilled to me describes being well.
Yeah.
Being fulfilled in myself, I think, is a very good description of what I would use to describe me feeling well. I am fulfilled, I am content. So, nothing you've said is away in a tangent at all. It's all very relevant. Thank you for that, Stephen.
You're listening to Recovery on Air at shmu 99.8 FM. Recovery, a journey of discovery.
Okay, so wellness. Stephen gave a very detailed description of how he describes and what he sees as himself being well. Stephen, what about yourself? Other
Well,
Stephen.
I'm actually the opposite of Stephen today. I'm probably a wee bit the same actually. I feel like I'm dragging my feet, but I felt like that for the last few days. I felt a little disgruntled and discomfort. And it is just it is just the heat, lack of sleep, and it's just all that takes a toll on your well-being. Well, it certainly does on mine. You get enough sleep, tossing and turning. Feel like you're running on empty, kind of. That touches and come at me, put my head down, and start thinking negatively. But if I just get my foot out that door, I'm on the right track. If I mean, I can like if it's morning, I was sitting thinking, I'm not going anywhere, I'm not going to do anything. But to sit me up thinking, it just, that's what I used to do a few years ago, and that's not good. I thought it just ends up in one place, isolation. And then it leads to something else, which I do not want to be here. So I feel like I had a wee bit of disgruntled, and I just a little bit, it's not even in days, it's been the last couple of days, I felt like that.
And I think Stephen described that we can get stuck, we can get hardwired into this way of thinking. And part of the recovery and remaining teachable and always learning a different way of doing it. A big part of that has been that, I don't need to stick on my first thought. I can often waking up and say, no, just want to cover up, pull the doobie on my head and just have a big doobie day. And the more I sit in that, the more my head convinces me that it's the right way to do. So it's not allowing my first thoughts to influence, overly influence me, and taking action. I can shift a thought by taking an action. If I try to shift thinking with thinking, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
It's like you're saying, Dermot, this is a radio show for recovery, right? So, like, if I'm being honest, right, see, like, you're talking about the thinking, and no going with that first thought, because, like, see, if I'm being honest, right, see, like, once I first got clean, right, I actually felt exposed. I'm only saying this case there's a listener out there, you know what I mean? I felt exposed, and what's helped me is, like, being around people that are in recovery as well, because they actually show me, they give me suggestions, right? And it's like you're talking about, an old sponsor said to me, called me Socrates, you know what I mean? Because I was always trying to think my way better. Now, if I could think my way better, I would be very well. No, I mean, but it's like in the air on the card that says, an inch of movement will get you closer or something to your goals than a mile of intention. You know, I was full of good intentions. Well, full of intentions. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Got to do that. Like, I'll get on it. You know what, like, you know what I mean?
Later on, I'll do it.
But I sort of lost my train of thought there. That's an air thing in recovery. I could be talking and then my mind goes blank. You know what I mean?
There's plenty of time to come back in.
Aye, I'll pass
So,
it.
and I guess wellness, it's so many different areas, as Jones touched on. You know, I've got to try and address that mental, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. You know, that's the four aspects I try to look at, and taking actions in all these different areas, and it's different actions I need to do for these different areas. So I heard someone speak about mindfulness, and I find mindfulness very, very beneficial. That opportunity just to get present, just to remain with, you know, keep with my thoughts in the now. That has become very important. But also spending time in nature that has become a really important part of my recovery. I feel a higher level of wellness today because of me being willing to overcome some of the fears I had. You know, I've always been what maybe terms a bit of a tree hugger. You know, so, and I was told a very interesting fact. Do you know where the term tree hugger came from?
No.
No. I was told this recently. It was in a Eastern Bloc country, maybe India, Pakistan, or maybe Japan, China. It was maybe India. Anyway, there was a whole plantation of trees that were continually being totally devastated by being cleared for crops and, you know, for illegal timber trade, etc., etc. And there was a group of villagers who, of their own initiative and their own motives, they went out and stood in front of the big, massive tractors that were digging up these huge trees, and they circled and held hands around the trees. And they were gaining the terms in the press of tree hugging, how tree huggers had saved this forest. And eventually action was taken by government, and this whole area was put in a protected zone. So tree huggers is not just hairy hippies. There's a very good reason behind it.
Glad you said that, Dermot, because like nature is a big thing for me. So like wellness, the opposite is that is I'm unwell. Right, no, I mean, what nature does for me, again, and it keeps me well, is I could go for a walk in a forest or down by a river, and I just get that peace. You know what I mean? Like I could be sitting in my flat, right? I'm worrying about life and all the responsibilities, and I could go out to, well, recently I had went out to like a beach, and honestly, I swear, like I actually forget a lot how beneficial this is, right? But I'll be sitting and my mind is just pure calm. You know what I mean? For me, again, like I'm just being in the present.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, that's wellness, and it's free. You know what I mean? Again, that music as well. See, like listening to my music, getting down by a river, I just feel that peace. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm always trying to maintain that peace.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because I've been disturbed for many years.
Stephen, you often speak about your love of journaling and writing.
Yeah.
That is it. Would you describe that as something you use to keep you well?
Yes, and I'm gonna want to be, well, I'm never normally dishonest. I've not been doing that for mere 10 days. I feel a bit disgruntled about it actually.
Would
This
that
morning,
be anything to do with your feeling of
this-
unwellness?
yes, this morning I actually, hold on a minute, you're gonna be doing your journaling. Right, okay. So, yeah, writing, writing your thoughts, your feelings, goals, gratitude lists, keeps me well. Keeps me well, keeps me focused. Keeps me,
Yeah. So in a recognition, just by hearing you say what you've said and the way you've said it, you recognized being not doing these things is feeling unwell. You relate and can connect that to the feelings of disquiet that you described.
Yeah.
And this can often be a trigger for me, that it can be a red flag. You know, so when I'm feeling dispirited, or if I have a really good look at where in my 4 areas of awareness have I stopped doing something, or have I been denying myself something, or have I been maybe making promises and not fulfilling, etc., etc. And if I can identify that, it's often when I'm doing the stuff that keeps me well, because I'm a very undisciplined person. I've found
Wow.
discipline, sticking. Yeah, I am.
Wow, that
Quite
surprises
undisciplined.
me.
Yeah.
That surprises me.
No,
Yeah.
See what was a revelation for me, right? Because I always feel like I should be doing this, I'm not been doing that. And it took me a while to realise that I could be doing all the right things and I could still feel off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was always thinking, Ken, it's like, as I say, Ken, I need to be doing this and that, and Ken, always try to feel good. And then it just came to me, sometimes you hate crap days. You know what I mean? Ken, it's like, it's okay
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like that. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
like the things that you normally keep you well, like a walk a river, a walk
Aye,
a
like I
beach,
could.
you can do it all day, but it's still your own feeling.
It's,
Aye.
it's just acceptance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Aye.
just accepting things the way they are today.
It's-
But discipline, I always took discipline as being told what
Yeah,
to do.
that's my dad
Yeah,
said that.
I
to me.
always
Right.
saw the word discipline
Aye.
as probably a bit of a punishment,
That's-
and I
Okay.
didn't like it,
Mhm.
you know, and I would fight that, you know, I would rebel against that. So for me to realize and be told by somebody who had been doing this stuff for a bit longer than I have,
Mm.
that discipline is really, really healthy
Mhm.
because it keeps you well.
It's like discipline for me is, as I said earlier, doing things that I don't want to do.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like going against my first thought.
Yeah.
It's like, wake up, right? I'm not doing the day, I'm not gone. But for me, pushing through that, so
Yeah.
discipline to myself.
Yeah, so healthy disciplines is something that we'll maybe speak about in the next round of discussion. But the word discipline,
Mm.
and Joan, you spoke about
Yeah.
the words, the wording you use, and
Yeah, it's so important. And it might come from early on
Mhm.
in your life,
Mhm.
and that you remember what that means to you. But the words that you use is really, really powerful.
Mhm.
But if you just change the words,
Mhm.
and it can be ever so slightly, or it can be large. Because when you said disciplined,
Mhm.
I kind of heard healthy routine
Mhm.
rather than a discipline.
Mhm.
And if you change that, then it has a completely different meaning and a different feeling about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where I was thinking
Yeah.
when you said discipline, because I don't think the same. So
Mhm.
it's individual to you what
Mhm.
you feel about a word,
Yeah.
but words are very, very powerful.
Yeah.
So changing the words that we use can make a big difference to how you feel about it.
Something what I perceived as disciplines, what I now see as healthy disciplines. I had to shift, as Stephen was touching on, I had to shift should do to
Mhm.
want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different connotation, totally different connotation. If my head is telling me I want to do something, or if I should do
Yeah.
something. Should do, it's like, oh, you got to tell me for it.
Aye.
And then it just shifts that whole thought process. I was told by that same chap I mentioned earlier, just a little bit longer in the tooth than I am, and had been practicing this recovery game for a while. And he said, see the morning routines as a devotion.
Mhm.
And I went, oh, that's a bit too religious for me.
It's a wee bit, that's what I thought.
But what he said, and it was beautiful, he said, see, it's time you devote to you.
Okay.
And that was, it just shifted my head 180 degrees. My perception of the same words just turned round about. It wasn't that tie in with the religion, you know, a devotion, which had to be very religious.
Yeah, devout.
Yes, devout. Yes, thank you. Absolutely. it was actually a gift to myself. What a different concept, different concept.
Mhm.
See, like early days, it's like Joan was touched on. Discipline for me was like, getting told what to do. But you can't, like, that was built into me. I was very rebellious. Like, who are you telling what to do? Again, like, just rebel. And you know what helped me was pick. I got suggested to pick a dictionary up, which I did, right? And so I used to think I knew what a word meant, and 98% of the time I was right. But until I picked a dictionary up, right, and the wording, and got the different definitions, that helped me big time. And what you were touched on, Dermot, I resisted everything. See, early doors, I resisted. No, I mean, no, it's like myself going against myself. And I got to that point and be like, what you're talking about. See, when I choose to do something, because I like to think that I'm coming up with the idea and not getting told what to do. And as simple as that seems, right, that took me a while to realise that. I've like, feel like I have to do this and have to do that, Ken. And it just came to me, I was like, what if you choose to do it?
Yeah.
Ken, it's doing it for myself.
It's even like somebody telling you you've got to stop taking drugs or you've got to stop drinking. And just by you saying, I choose to stop, I choose to stop drinking, the power is with you rather than someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these words, this shift in ideas or shift in the hardwired thinking, this is all what assists me to be able to say, yes, I am well today. Yeah, I am well today, and mean it. You know, and it instills a warmth in me. That word, you know, where being well and wellness, it instills that internal warmth.
And I'm just looking at you. It's over your heart. It's where your heart is, and when you. That's where that emotion, that feeling of wellness is. It's inside.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it's just, I didn't even know it, Dermot, right? But it's like addiction for many years, right? Like, I've got my views on addiction, and then there's been dependent as well. You know what I mean? I didn't realise, like, I was dependent on people, places, and things as well. You know what I mean? And if I'm being real honest, I was wanting everybody to do it for me. I want you to make me feel well. I want you to do this for me. Ken, but I'm not saying that in my head in a dialogue. Ken, I didn't even know it. Ken, I always want to be saved. Ken, it's like, and it took me a while to, you know what I mean? Like, realise, see, when I choose to do things for myself, you know what I mean? It's so much lighter. You know what I mean? So it's like talking about the word in. So, because I was defiant and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And how did I get that awareness? Just getting involved with recovery, you know what I mean? Because you don't know what you don't know. Ken, so it's like learning, Ken, and also learning what works for you. Ken, and it's taking me a bit of time and suggestions and that, Ken, like, and I'm finding out what works for me. Ken, as I say, Ken, like, if I don't maintain my wellness, I like to, the word in, Ken, I become sick, right? Ken, and it's like my thinking goes like for the old lifestyle, right? My thinking's kind of, it's not been the best, put it that way. Kind of like my good thinking has got me in trouble in the past. And just because I'm clean now, that doesn't mean to say, I'm better, I'm well. Can I need to maintain that or revert back?
That's what we have to maintain. It's our wellness. It's our wellness. And part of the what I had to be willing to be accepting of that my consequences were down to me. Yeah, I had to take responsibility in this. You described it, but you wanting everyone else to do it for you. That resonates so much with me. I although on the picture, externally, you would have thought, oh, he's a very responsible person. Actually, in truth, I was wanting to dodge it and pass it over to somebody else. and may be accountable fully.
For Alec.
Yeah, I was always looking for something to blame or someone to blame.
To get
Yes,
out of
and,
it.
and some of the biggest learning in recovery and finding a place of wellness is that I too am accountable. Yeah, I have got to take that responsibility. And I think anyone engaging in that recovery journey has got to be ready to see that as a very necessary part of being well and achieving what we're terming wellness.
Yeah.
I think Joan may remember, as part of the recovery college, the small model of better than well.
Yeah, that 5
is-
years
yes, 5
in
years
recovery.
is described. And I think in the last couple of minutes we have left, I'll maybe try and translate that. Kind of hard to do in radio. It's easier. It'd be easier to do if it was television. But a chart, and I can't remember where the model was. I'm telling a lie, I stated where the model was actually initially developed. But if you could envision a line of stability in human beings, yeah, and we'll term that line as wellness, yeah. So when people are in very active and problematic dependent addiction, whether that is to drugs, substances, behaviors, including gambling, shopping, etc., the whole gambit, they could be seen as being below that line to certain degrees, dependent on circumstance. When an individual comes into recovery, and because there's a lot of learning to do things differently in recovery, as years increase, there's a progressional line that would come from that baseline and increase gradually up over the years in recovery. And they estimated over a period of 5 years, and this was a study done in regards to alcohol and drug use. In 5 years of recovery, in 5 years of repeatedly looking at alternates and different ways to approach relationships and connections and your own self-esteem and your value, how you value yourself, that line would transit through the level of well in and or around 5 years. And as long as that ability to always be willing to be teachable, you would continue beyond the average well. So after 5 years, they came up, there was a point where you would become and start to become better than well. Yeah. It was described as a 7-year period for people who came through a background of drugs, but I think that was a lot more to do with circumstance and physical circumstances and different
Kind of recovery.
Yes,
more
yes,
physical.
a different eventuality to come from. So it was a lot more to be worked on, let's say. But it is. I think it is something that we can look to as a model of hope.
Yeah.
And in a recovery journey, and everyone can benefit. Every single human being on this earth, I believe, can benefit from a recovery process. Because in a recovery process, we learn to be teachable. We learn that we don't know all, no matter how grey-haired and long in the tooth we get. There's always, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I ain't got a fur coat and I don't have a tail, so I am teachable.
And on that bombshell.
Yeah, no, and I don't carry poopy bags around with me in the street, which is rather good. If we went back to our topic that John was describing last week about the seagulls.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, let's not go there. So I guess we'll be heading shortly. Thank you very much, guys, for a really vibrant conversation. And thanks for honesty that was shared. And as Stephen suggested earlier on, we do this stuff and then we open up a little bit of ourselves in the hope that someone out there is at a point that some of this may resonate. And if it does, we've done our job. So I'm going to be passing over to John very shortly, who is going to do our little closing process and give you some contact numbers and things. So I will pass over to everybody to just say bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 And we'll look forward to catching up with you all next week.
If you'd like to learn more about Aberdeen and Recovery, who we are and what we do, you'll find the latest, best information on our website, www.aberdeenandrecovery.org. You can follow us on social media. On Twitter and Instagram, we are Republic_AiR, and on Facebook, we are Aberdeen and Recovery. You can catch up with previous episodes of Recovery on Air. That's podcast versions on our YouTube channel. Just head along to YouTube and search on Aberdeen and Recovery, and our channel will pop up. And we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us through social media or give us a call on 01224 638 342, or drop us an email on chatterbox@aberdeenandrecovery.org. Lastly, if anyone out there is in need of more urgent advice, please contact Alcohol and Drugs Action Helpline. It's a free phone number, 0333 344 8355. And that number again, 0333 344 8355. So that's goodbye from us for now. Thanks for listening, and please do join us again next week. That's Thursday, 2 p.m. for Recovery on Air, right here on shmu 99.8 FM.
The flame in our name
is to shine a light onto the pathways of